Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So let's move on to when you set up Alexis Haselberger Coaching and Consulting.
Yeah.
So why leaving those sort of HR operations jobs? Why did you decide to set up a coaching and consulting business?
Well, so I mean, the real reason is that when the Deltas folded, when I left that role, I had worked for the same CEO at two different companies for the last 10 years. And I had built just a lot of autonomy in those roles. Like I felt like, yes, I did have a boss, but like I didn't really feel like I had a boss. I really just felt like I'd had a lot of autonomy. And when that ended and there wasn't like another place to go with that CEO, I just felt like the idea of trying to go prove myself like I hadn't interviewed anywhere in 10 years. I felt like the idea of like trying to go get a job and prove myself to someone else and just like go through that whole process again to gain that same level of autonomy was so distasteful to me that I was like, you know what, I'll just start a company of my own and I'll figure it out. And so that's the reason that I decided to go out on my own. And then in terms of the coaching and consulting, over my HR career and over those roles, I had a lot of, I was always a really productive person. Like while I was doing the Deltas, I only worked 30 hours a week and I got all that stuff done. Like I
Wow.
was working, I was always really good at like ROI on my own time.
Right.
And people were often coming to me for those skills.
Right.
And I had kind of integrate, at lots of different companies that I'd worked for, I had kind of built our task systems from the systems we were using, or built, customer service engines of, so that we can repeat our work and not have to, be more efficient essentially.
Hmm.
And people had started coming to me for that kind of thing. And at the Deltas, very early on, our CEO had said to me, hey, do you think you could do a productivity workshop for the team? Because I think everyone could just really benefit from just knowing all the things you do to
Hmm.
make yourself more productive.
Hmm.
And because he had always said, like, Alexis can do in 20 hours what anyone else can do in 60 hours, right?
Right.
And so like, I just kind of had that reputation.
Right.
And so when I went out on my own, I said, you know what, this is a skill set that comes pretty easily to me. And it's a skill set that I have seen not come easily to a lot of other people, right? A lot of people are very successful and do it through brute force.
Yeah.
And I was always very much about how do I do excellent work with the least amount of time and effort possible?
Right.
And so I saw kind of a gap there. And I thought, maybe I could teach this stuff to other people.
Because what they do say is that especially in sort of the startup arena, the lazy person is the best person to have because they find the most efficient way of being
Right.
able to do things.
Right.
Is that your experience as well?
Oh my God. Yes. I call myself a very driven, lazy person. Like my goal is always have as much time for myself and my family as possible. Like I really like reading, lounging, watching TV, walking, taking walk. Like I really like, I get it, I like work, but it's the last thing that I like. There's many other things I would like to do before work, right? So I really enjoy what I do, but it's still like it's the last thing I want to do. There's so many other things I want to do in life, right? And so, yeah, I feel like I've always been someone who just like, I want to be excellent, of course. Like
Mm,
that's really important to me,
mm.
doing something meaningful, but I want to do it in a way where I'm not like hitting my head against a brick wall over and over again.
So the word I've just written down here is focus. It seems that what you're doing now is sort of laser focused, teaching people how to be laser focused for
Mhm.
I don't know, 5, 6 hours a day, and then stopping and, as you say, walking, watching TV, spending time with family, whatever it is. Is that a fair assessment? Is the word focus an important one for you in your business?
So I think focus is definitely a part of it. But what I always say is like, we are all different, right? So what I want might be very different from what you want. And so what I do is I help people to learn to use their time in support of their goals and values, whatever those happen to be. So, sometimes I have clients who say like, I really love working and I don't mind working 80 hours a week. I just feel kind of out of control because I don't have systems to keep track of everything. So like I do get it done, but it feels really stressful the whole time, right? Or I often work with people who have achieved like a pretty high level of success in their career, but they've done so maybe at the expense of family, health, personal life. And so I try to help get people into alignment with what, how are they spending their time? What are their goals? And how do we make those match?
And who do you find your clients that you work with? I did see, I did see, and I'm not sure if I've written this down, but you've worked with some big on your corporate side that you help in those. I saw that you mentioned a few major big companies that you've worked with as well. How does it work? Like being a productivity coach for larger corporates versus the solopreneur or the small business owner that's building and growing and scaling. How does the role that you do differ for the startup versus the corporate?
Yeah, so I think it kind of comes into how I deliver my services. And so, for instance, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching with people, and they can work at any company, a startup versus a large company. I'm using kind of the same process because most people are actually, everyone has their own things that they're dealing with, but we're using kind of an individual process to work within their environment, whatever that is.
Yeah.
With corporate work, when I'm not contracting with an individual, what I'm usually doing is workshops. And so I will come in and do, 3 hours or now, and nobody has an attention span for 3 hours anymore. So most often I'm doing like 90-minute sessions on something really laser focused. So like task management or focus and distractions, or, really popular these days is making meetings better, right? Like, how do we make meetings better, or managing up? And so really taking these laser focused skills that I might, when I'm one-on-one coaching, people are getting the whole shebang. And when I'm doing workshops for companies, they might pick a particular skill that a lot of people are needing, and we might dive deep on those sorts of things.